actress Angie Dickinson proved that strong women have a place on the small screen when she stepped into her iconic role of Pepper Anderson, who was a Los Angeles police officer in the groundbreaking show Policewoman. The show ran for 4 seasons on NBC from September of '74 to March of '78. Along with Dickinson, the show starred Earl Holliman, Ed Bernard, and Charles Durkop. The original teleplay was written by Lincoln Hilburn, and the plot for the series revolves around Sergeant Pepper Anderson, played by Dickinson, as she plays this undercover police officer working for the criminal conspiracy unit of the police department there. Earl Holliman plays her immediate superior, Sergeant William Crowley. Pete Royster, played by Charles Durkop, and Joe Stiles, played by Ed Bernard, were the other half of the undercover team that investigated all the crimes. Dickinson's character is called Pepper, but sources completely differ as to what her legal given name is for the character. Most of the sources that you read give the character's legal name as Suzanne, but others call her Leanne. In the police story episode that served as a pilot for the series, her character's name is totally different. It's Lisa Beaumont, but for some reason the producers and her felt that that name just didn't fit right for the series. And before the show went into full production, they came up with the name Pepper. This show was monumental for the time. It was one of the first shows around to have a strong lead character that was a female. Angie Dickinson, believe it or not, was over 40 when the show started. She was 43. She was pretty well known on the big screen from the start with her Howard Hawks film of 1959, Rio Bravo. She kind of steals some scenes and is completely memorable in her role. The creator of the show, Robert Collins, dreamed up the character during the season 1 finale of the TV show Police Story. In the very first season, you will see Pepper have an autistic younger sister named Cheryl, played by Nicole Callis. This only happens occasionally, and this was completely dropped before the second season started. This show broke ground, but that didn't mean that it didn't have its problems. There were groups that absolutely hated the show or hated certain episodes of the show. In the episode called Flowers of Evil, it was based on 3 lesbians running an elder care facility, and they wind up sedating and killing most of the patients that they would later rob as well. The gay rights groups went crazy and protested this episode after it aired, and NBC, as they usually do, never aired the episode again. The show was about a variety of criminal enterprises that were infiltrated and stopped because of her undercover work. She certainly put her life on the line, disguising herself from everything from a prostitute to a nurse to a flight attendant, just in order to catch the perpetrator in his or her crime. The show was the first hour-long television drama that starred a woman as a police officer. And Dickinson received 3 Emmy nominations and a Golden Globe for the show. While the show never ranked above number 15 in the ratings for a given season, it had a popular fan base, and the show has a tendency to stand out in your mind strictly because of Angie Dickinson's character. Policewoman influenced later shows such as Charlie's Angels, and it also caused an avalanche of employment applications from women to police departments around the world and the United States. In studies that they have done since then to determine what caused females to go into law enforcement, this television series was referenced as one of the high points in it. President Gerald Ford was a big fan too. He actually rescheduled a press conference so that he would not delay an episode of the series, and he actually called it his favorite show at the time. The guest stars in the show were pretty astounding too. People like Larry Hagman, Adam West, Donna Mills, Patty Duke, Lonnie Anderson, Edie Adams, and the list goes on and on. People that you recognize readily when you see them nowadays. Angie Dickinson was one of these in-your-face girls. She had her opinions and her ideas, and she stuck with them. One of the things that she did that made people's heads really turn in 1966, she went pantyless in Esquire magazine. This was during a time when this never happened. This set the newsstands on fire. And she's had some strange living situations with her ex-husband, who was Burt Bacharach. They lived in totally separate houses. He spent most of his time in the beach house that they had in Del Mar, California, and Angie spent the majority of her time at the home she had in Beverly Hills. She was asked about the strange living situation that her and her husband had, and she stated that they were not divorced and they weren't separated permanently. She said that at some time in the future, one or both of us will decide what to do. Angie grew up in North Dakota and became interested in acting after she placed well in a beauty contest. And there's no doubt she's a knockout beauty. After she studied the craft of acting for a few years, she won several guest appearances on NBC's Colgate Comedy Hour. And this is where she met famed crooner and actor Frank Sinatra. They became lifelong friends, plus some. And she goes on to play Sinatra's wife in the original Ocean's 11. In the early days of her career, she became a staple on popular TV shows like Gunsmoke, The Virginian, The Fugitive, and Dr. Kildare. Now, there's no doubt that this show made her a star in everybody's mind. But by the last season of the show, she had become extremely tired of appearing in scenes where the phone would ring while she's taking a bath just to introduce some sexuality into her character. She didn't really need this. She exuded sexuality just by her looks and everyday appeal. This is what got her turned off to the show. She really preferred scripts where her sensuality is coming across naturally the whole 60 minutes of the show. She really did embrace the character that was a combination of sex appeal and brains in equal measure. But she hated the fact that the studio tried to push her into this in a variety of ways. She fought back by disallowing the studio to lighten her naturally dark hair beyond a honey blonde. And she did love the character in the fact that she was a hero and sexy at the same time. But all in all, she grew very tired of the TV show as time went on. And she states that looking back on it, she wished that she had not done it and had pursued other interests that she had turned down because of her obligation to the show. All in all, she looks at the show as a bad experience. And if she had it to do over again, she wouldn't do it. With all of this negative stuff said about the show, in her mind, she still didn't expect the show to be canceled after the 4th season. That came as quite a surprise to her. Take a look back at this groundbreaking police drama that has the always beautiful Angie Dickinson as the main character. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.